Woo! It's been a long time. Shouldn't have left you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I don't know if anybody's gonna come here. I didn't even announce that I was going live. We're gonna see who might pop into the place today to just have a basic conversation about pop culture because 2024 has already started off wild, and it's almost as if day one set the tone. Like day one of 2024 was like, oh, y'all want to know what y'all getting? Previously on this world, we had this, and today, January 1st, 2024, we're gonna give you that. And it's just been wild. So I'm going to see who I get in here so that we can just talk pop culture. It don't have to be Star Trek, even though there is an awful lot of Star Trek going on, or at least Paramount wants us to think there's a lot of Star Trek going on. I'm not 100% sure what is really happening. If we are to believe what we are being fed by the machine, the Paramount machine, we got like 3 or 4 movies that are in development right now. And while to me, any Star Trek is good news. Anytime you tell us, hey, we're getting some more Star Trek, great news. I love to hear it. But do we trust what we're hearing? That's the question, because I am not 100% sure that I trust that we're getting a new Jean-Luc Picard movie. I'm not 100%. I mean, unless they do some things a bit differently. And by that, I mean, will they do things to try to make the character survive beyond Patrick Stewart? It's Father Time is undefeated, y'all. As much as I hate to admit it, and the world may hate to accept it, uh, Father Time undefeated. So if Patrick Stewart is in his 80s, it is, even though not impossible, it is improbable that we're going to have a series of movies that are going to be featuring that particular Jean-Luc Picard. So instead of ending on Picard season 3, which to me would have been a fantastic send off. If we got to say goodbye to the character, that probably would be one of the better ways to do it. Is have him have one last adventures with his homeboys from the Enterprise, and then we get this ship that is renamed Enterprise in his honor. Even though I still think they should have named that ship USS Picard. I said we weren't about to take off on Star Trek, but here we go. They should have named that ship USS Picard, but okay, they didn't. Sue, sue whoever. Hey, Justin. Hold on just one second, you guys. I got a call from my apartments. Hey, Justin. Sorry about that. I got a call from my apartment complex. We're having some troubles over here, but obviously it's nothing that's going to stop me from streaming really quick. So I'm sorry about that. Um, so we were talking about Patrick Stewart, this new movie. Unless they're trying to go in a different direction than Patrick Stewart. Patrick Stewart is probably a little old to be trying to build something in the future around. And I don't want to sound ageist, and I know I just did, But yeah, it just seems like it's a strange time to bring up a Picard movie. Then we got word. Of course, we're getting the movie with Michelle Yeoh, the Section 31 movie. I think that one might be safe. We're getting that, right? We probably will see that sometime end of this year, beginning of next year. So, Justin, you want that Picard movie bad. And look, this is not to say that I don't want the movie. It's just how probable is it? I'm crossing my fingers that that works out, but I'm not going to bet the farm on it. I'm not betting the farm on it. I don't know what Paramount's end game is if they're trying to hold on to Star Trek in the midst of what they're going through, which is trying to sell off a huge stake. I believe it would be a majority stake of Paramount Global. They're trying to sell it off, and maybe they know that we are the biggest thing, or at least one of the biggest things that they have to bargain. So they want to make sure that we are satisfied. And if we think we're getting all these movies, then maybe that'll satiate us until this sale is over. I don't know. That's the conspiracy theorist in me. We also see this other Star Trek movie that's in parallel with Star Trek 4. So I said 3 movies, and I really should have said 4, right? Because they say we're still getting Star Trek 4, and it'll be the last ride for that Enterprise Kelvin timeline crew. And then we're supposed to be getting the second Star Trek movie that is a prequel to all of the things that happened in the Kelvin universe. And we got Toby Haynes, who did Andor. We got him assigned to direct. Look, if they do it and it turns out as good as Andor did, because I loved Andor, absolutely loved it. It's a great companion piece to my favorite Star Wars movie, Rogue One. It's a fantastic companion to that movie, and it just so happens to be some of the most compelling drama that I think I've seen as far as coming out of the Star Trek universe. Of course, I'm sorry, Star Wars universe. Of course, I love the Mandalorian. We are also getting a Mandalorian and Grogu movie, but that's another thing. So if Toby Haynes does as fantastic a job with this Star Trek movie as he did with the Star Wars series Andor, I'm in, right? I'm in. And they're seeing also how it worked out. Things are working out for the Star Wars universe. It's not like we're getting, I don't think there has been rumors of quote unquote fatigue in the Star Wars universe. I'm not as immersed in the Star Wars universe as I am Star Trek, but I don't think there's any fatigue. They had maybe some iffy series that the some people felt like the Obi-Wan Kenobi series was a bit iffy, and a lot of people thought the Book of Boba was a iffy series. I think I liked both of them. Let me see what Justice has. Justice says he's my captain. He seems to have fallen back in love with Trek, but I don't want him to do it just to kill him off, though. But Strange New Worlds and Picard Season 3 have revitalized Trek. And I can definitely say I can see it. And I really don't want, if we'd have saw Picard pass away in the adventures that closed out Season 3 of Picard, I might have been at peace with it. It still would have been heartbreaking. I might have been at peace. But don't bring out a movie to kill him off. I don't want to see that happen. Hey, Win Grace. He's on the phone at work, so he can't hear yet. Trust me, I understand. You got to make that dough. Got to make that money, honey. I'm about to sneeze. Excuse me. That has been what kind of week it's been. We've been battling something over here. It's always something. When you got 2 people in the home that works at the airport, and then you got 2 babies, stuff just get passed around. We just pass it around to one another, and we stay sick. Now, let me see what Justice says here. Now, I think the Picard movie would be a full launch of Legacy. That would probably be the best case scenario, is if we get this Picard movie, you bring back the players of Star Trek Legacy, you do the jump off, make it a backdoor pilot for that series. I don't think I'll be upset with that, because we're talking about a lot of movies, and a lot of movies generally means a lot of money, right? When we could put some of that into a series, because right now we know that Discovery is ending, Prodigy is gone to Netflix, and hopefully it's still doing strong. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't seen any more reporting, but we know it started off very strong. And we got Lower Decks, Strange New Worlds. We're not looking for that until at least next year, right? So we're in a position where we want to hear some kind of movement on what we'll be able to see on TV, on the small screen. But yeah, I hope that Toby Haynes again does as good a job as he did on Andor, and also that one Black Mirror episode. Now, I don't know if anybody else is Black Mirror the way I was, but that Black Mirror episode where it was like a Star Trek kind of spoof, I thought that was well done as well. And I believe Toby Haynes was attached to that. Now, I don't know if it was Toby Haynes or was it, let me see. Yeah, Toby Haynes was attached to that Black Mirror Trek episode, the USS Callister. I thought that was a fantastic episode. And if you are a Star Trek fan and a fan of that kind of anthological sci-fi techie type deal, you will love that episode, I think. What else has been going on this year? Look, I know, like I said, we usually jump into nothing but Star Trek, but what did y'all think about the beginning, the first day of this year? We start hearing about some freaking aliens at the mall in Miami. And look, I'm confused and I don't know how I feel. Now, look, I know that it's real easy for a bunch of people to get online and say, this is what we saw. Did you guys, if you don't know what I'm talking about, before I even jump all into it, on January 1st at a mall in Miami, there was a disturbance, and there was a police response to that disturbance that was unprecedented. I had never, ever seen anything like that as far as a response to disturbance at a mall in my entire life. And I'm going to try to find a still, because I'm not going to pull any video, because I hate pulling video and then I get hit. But this Miami Mall incident was, as far as I could tell, one of the biggest responses from any police department about a disturbance at the mall. And they were saying that, oh, this was a disturbance with some kids who had gotten into a fight at the mall. Hey, Marge. Good to see you. Good to see you. So they said that this was because kids had gotten into a disturbance or a fight at the mall, and they responded in the way that they did because they didn't know what they were walking into. Now, I want you to think, especially if you're in the US, of the responses to mass shooting events that we have seen. Now, hopefully none of us have seen one up close, but you have seen footage on different news sources that will show you how many police showed up for a mass shooting event. And then tell me what you think about this. I don't know how well you can see it, if it's translating as well as I hope it does. So let's just make it as big. This is not this is not even all of the police that showed up. This is just some of the police that showed up. This is in Miami, Marge. Yes. This is just some of the police. This is not even a full picture of how many police responded. Now, I'm going to go into what some people who witnessed this, who were at the mall, what they say, and then I'm going to give you what the police said happened. Justice says, also, wasn't there something also at a military base or something? But the mall alien was strange. There is something up there. And I have to say, there's got to be more to this story than because they only arrested 4 teenagers. So a response this big, the police say they have 4 teenagers under arrest. And what they said happened was, the teenagers were lighting fireworks in the mall, and it created a disturbance, a huge disturbance. Now, I can understand, but wouldn't somebody have video footage? Like if there was a fight and if kids started lighting fireworks, when there are fights, people usually pull out their cell phone and start taking footage, and the footage starts making the rounds, and we would have corroboration of what the police said happened based upon these videos, because people cannot help themselves when there's a fight or something like that to pull out a phone. What some of the people, and I'm sorry I look so rough, y'all. I didn't even know I was coming. I just got here. I just said, F it, let's get on here and talk, because I felt good. So what the people who were inside the mall are saying is that, yes, there started off, there was a little argument between these teenagers, some things were going on, and then people began to run. As the people were running, they said that there were beings, I won't call them aliens, that there were beings that were about 8 feet tall and kind of shadowy beings. Almost didn't look tangible, but they were tangible. And when you see some ish like that, I understand not pulling out the phone. I understand running. Let's pick up Justin too. Justin said, I think there was a jellyfish looking ship flying over a base. That is a lot of police for just a fight or active shooter. That looks like a force to stop a monster or alien invasion. It looked like some ish that I've only seen on a Marvel movie. But we're going to talk about these 8-foot beings for just a second, because, and I know I usually save this talk for Sinister Silhouettes. I haven't been on Sinister Silhouettes in a while, and I have been threatening to share this story for a while. However, I think it was 2020. Might have been 2019, 2020, like right before the pandemic jumped off really quick. I was in a different apartment at that time, and I was asleep in my bed. And dark sleep. I woke up out of a dead sleep, and I was paralyzed. Now, I know that there's a thing called sleep paralysis. That is what was happening to me. I couldn't move, I couldn't speak, but I could see. And at the foot of my bed was a shadowy looking being. And it was tall, and it was super dark. Now, for those of you who don't know, I have a very tall, very dark son. My son is 6'5", and kind of muscular guy. So sometimes, because I have very poor vision, if he was just in my room looking for an ink pen or something out of my room, his silhouette might have looked like this shadowy being. But my son wouldn't enter my room and shut the door behind him. That's number one. And then number two, this being did not move. It just stood there. And if it were my son, he'd say, Mama, or something. But it was tall. Now, my son is 6'5". Like I said, he's got dreadlocks. So sometimes he'll stack his hair on top of his head. He looks even taller when he piles his hair up. So he'll be closer to 7 feet if he stacks all his hair on top of his head. That's how tall this thing was in my room. I couldn't speak. I couldn't move. And I was trying to fight to say something because I knew that this presence was not my son, no matter how similarly built these two things were. Okay, so by the time I was able to make a noise, it was gone. This happened to me 4 times in the matter of, say, 10 weeks. So I told my dad. My dad was like, "You were dreaming." I'm like, "I was not dreaming. I was wide awake." There was the last time that this happened to me. Same apartment, I same way, woke up, couldn't move, but this time I kind of willed myself to scream, and my son just happened to be on the other side of the door. He was in the living room on the other side of the door from my bedroom. So when he heard me scream, the little scream that I was able to get out, he burst into my room and that thing went through the wall. And I know I sound crazy, but when I got myself together, I asked my son, I said, "Did you see that?" And he was like, "What? I didn't see anything." He didn't see it. I saw it. And I might be a little tiny bit crazy, but I don't hallucinate. That was something, and it happened, like I said, over and over and over again over a matter of 2 months. And it hasn't happened since. I was talking to my sister about this very thing because we were talking about the alien beings that these people said they saw. My nephew recounts to me how he had a similar experience just recently. He had a similar experience where he saw some presence in his room and it was kind of like it felt like it was weighing him down. I have experienced that also, where it feels like something is kind of sitting on your chest. And my nephew said he felt that too. My sister also tells me, "Hey, I had a dream about aliens. They came in the room and they took me outside and they were pointing up in the sky." And she was like, "I didn't see what they were trying to make me see, but this is what they were trying to communicate to her." And this was shortly before, over the Great Lakes, remember the Chinese weather balloon that everybody was saying was out there, and that the Air Force was shooting down, the military was shooting down these military balloons, or these balloons, the spy balloons from China, quote unquote. My sister lives in the area where these weather balloons were sighted, and she had a dream, and I'm thinking maybe it wasn't a dream, that some beings took her outside, told her to look up, and were trying to show her something, but she couldn't see it. And then right after that, we start hearing about these weather balloons in that area. So a lot of things make me feel like something is going on. Yeah, you know what, Marge? It was scary for me. There have been people who have had similar experiences who said they felt peaceful and all that. No, I felt trapped in my own body, and I did not know what this thing wanted with me. Now, I know there are those who will be like, "Oh, it might have been demons, or may have been a ghost, or this or that." And I don't subscribe to demonology and that sort of thing, but it was something. It was something. And when these people in Miami described what they saw, it sounded an awful lot like what I saw, which, if I never would have experienced this, I probably would never believe it. But I did experience this. This is something that happened to me. Um, some people are saying that there is a better shot that you can actually see the creature in, and I'm gonna see if um I don't know what this number. Oh, that's my doctor's office. They'll have to wait. Let me see. Yeah, because I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it. It's a weird picture. No, stop sharing and let's present this one. So the second picture, the one on the right, is said to be where you can see this being. I'm going to be honest. In this picture, I cannot tell the height or the scale or the scope of this quote unquote creature, but they are saying that okay, this is the best thing that they caught. Now there are also people who were present. They say they were present for this event, and that they had to give their phones up to officers on the scene. Of course, I cannot substantiate that. I don't know if that happened, but because that just makes it sound even more sinister when you say, "Oh, if they saw you recording, they were telling you to turn your phone off and they were confiscating telephones." I don't know if that's the case, but that has been said. Um, that was January 1st. That was January 1st. We also have had since then several pop culture or events of pop cultural significance, like that Epstein list being released, and some of the names that we expected to be there, and then others that may have shocked or surprised us. Let me see what Justin got before I move on. Tasha, your experience reminds me of the shadow people. That's what it is. Shadow people. Yes. I kind of had that happen as well, but it's more like someone watching me, or it happens right out of the corner of my eye and it takes off. And I've heard people with that experience with them too. But my experience was it just stood there. It was there, and it wasn't like optical illusion, like, oh, it might have been my sweater hanging on the door or something like that. It was something there. So yeah, I agree. There is definitely what most people would consider a shadow person, and people have been experiencing shadow people, shadow beings for millennia. But my question is, who or what are they? Um, would that be just a figment of your imagination, or would that be something that is otherworldly? And by otherworldly, it doesn't necessarily have to mean, oh, it's from space. Could it be interdimensional? Could it be something that has bled into our dimension, and it's just as shocked and surprised to see me as I am to see it? Telling Gobi, oh, oh, I can't do that. um, so yeah, that's my shadow person experience. I'm sorry, I saw a message over on Twitch, because I am streaming to Twitch and Facebook as well. Don't know who we got from where, but I see a message from Twitch and it is spam, I think. I don't know if it's real or fake or whatever. But anywho, uh, yeah, so we're talking about the Epstein list real quick. I'm not trying to get crazy political. Some people get up in their feelings when you start saying who was on this list. Look, I don't care who was on the list. Number one, being on the list does not mean that you were involved in the quote unquote hobbies of Jeffrey Epstein, the crimes. We won't even call them, I'm not even going to keep it that clean. Being on the list doesn't mean you were involved in the crimes of Jeffrey Epstein, but there are some on the list who are more likely to have been involved in these crimes than others. And then there are some on the list who we're like, how in the world did you get on this list? But it happens. People who are seemingly innocent might have not so innocent friends or associates. And it's up to us to say, hey, when you find out this person has dirty hands, you might want to distance yourselves from that individual. Well, Jeffrey Epstein was one of those individuals, and there are a lot of people who did not put any distance between themselves and Jeffrey Epstein when they learned of his criminal behavior. And the list came out, and it began a fight between political figures, actors, and all of this about who was on this list. We got Aaron Rodgers, former quarterback of the Green Bay Packers, which was the bane to my Chicago Bears existence. Aaron Rodgers, who is now a quarterback for the New York Jets, and he has been injured since the opening snap of 2023. He's been injured. So he hasn't played any games. So he's had a whole lot of time on his hands, and he has been showing up on the Pat McAfee show. So Pat McAfee is a former football player who now has a very successful podcast that was picked up by ESPN and puts it under the Disney umbrella, right? ESPN is a part of the Disney family. So Aaron Rodgers has a lot of controversial opinions. And they are his opinions, and he's entitled to them, but he does not necessarily need a platform for those opinions, especially when he is reaching the way that he did. And one of the things that Aaron Rodgers did was implicated Jimmy Kimmel on the Jeffrey Epstein list. So right before the list came out, he said Jimmy Kimmel is feeling a bit nervous right now about this list. And that opened the door for a lot of people who followed Aaron Rodgers to turn and attack Jimmy Kimmel. Now, Jimmy Kimmel is also part of the Disney family. He also has a little late night show. You might have heard of him. He says that he and his family had sustained attacks from Aaron Rodgers' fan base after Aaron Rodgers made this allegation that he would, or this insinuation that he insinuated that Jimmy Kimmel was going to be on Jeffrey Epstein's list. And I'm like, I heard what Aaron Rodgers said. It did sound like he insinuated. He didn't outright say it. He insinuated, though, that Jimmy Kimmel was going to be on the list. What Aaron Rodgers said that he meant by all of this was that, hey, what I meant was he was going to have to talk about some uncomfortable people, some people that he's kind of close to. If you want to be, keep it 100, and you want to talk about one person on the list, you're going to have to talk about all the people on the list. And some of those people are close to you. That's what Aaron Rodgers kind of intimated that he meant, but that ain't the way it sounded. So that little beef went on. Then there was the Cat Williams beef with the entirety of the Black comedian family. And I ain't gonna say the entirety, just the really big ones. So Black comedians like Steve Harvey, Black comedians like Cedric the Entertainer, Michael Blackson, Ricky Smiley, they came under the fire of Cat Williams during a sit down on Shannon Sharpe, former football player, now a podcaster with far more success than he thought he could have handled with one interview, because that Cat Williams interview, last I checked, had 46 million views on YouTube, because people like messy. People like messy. And Cat Williams got on that show to be messy. And oh, yeah, he said stuff about Ludacris too. Now, one of the things that I want to touch on about what Cat Williams said does concern Ludacris, because he didn't insinuate, he outright said that Ludacris was chosen by the Illuminati for fame, and that Ludacris did these symbolic gestures that the Illuminati were asking him to do by cutting his hair and cutting off his sideburns. And for that, he was rewarded with all of those roles in the Fast and the Furious franchise. Now, look, I don't know how real this whole Illuminati thing is. And, they call it Illuminati in some circles, the other circles call it the Boule. There are a lot of people who believe that there is a cabal of powerful people in Hollywood. And if you want to make it in Hollywood, you have to, basically kiss the ring of these powerful people. And, they have named people who could possibly be powerful. I don't know if I want to perpetuate that rumor of who might be in this cabal, but just that there are a number of people who believe that the cabal exists, and that if you fight the cabal, you will find yourself on the outside looking in to Hollywood. And Cat Williams is saying basically that is what happened with him, that he doesn't get roles and the such, because first and foremost, Cat Williams is a slight dude. He's what, about my height, maybe? I might be taller than Cat Williams. And he's a small guy, and there are just so many roles that would be made for a character or a person like Cat Williams. And because Ludacris is also a small dude with the same type of build as Cat Williams, he's saying that there was an opportunity that presented itself and you had to kiss the ring. And Cat Williams is saying he didn't kiss the rings, Ludacris did. And that's why we are seeing Ludacris in the positions that we are seeing him in. Same thing with, what's the other dude? Kevin Hart. Same thing with him. Short dude, small dude. So many roles to go around. Cat Williams, Kevin Hart, Ludacris. That's basically how they put it. And you got these three choices. Now who you picking? And Chappelle has also, and that's what makes me wonder how much of this is true. Because like I said, do I believe that there is an Illuminati and it's all this devil worship and all of this stuff? No, I don't. But do I believe that there are powerful people who you have to kind of bow down to if you want to make it in Hollywood? It's almost like that's anywhere though, isn't it? And what you have to do might be different in different occupations. But a lot of people are coming out, and Chappelle being one of them. Chappelle said it years back. Hey, I walked away from the Chappelle show because they wanted me to put on a dress. They wanted me to basically, in so many words, sell my soul for the success of this show. And that he said, my soul's not for sale, and the show can end, and you can find somebody else to do it. And Hollywood is not going to have a hard time finding other people to do what you want. So Chappelle has said the same thing, and it doesn't stop there. We just saw here recently, within the last day or two, Diddy continues to lose his influence. Now, this is not for me to say that Diddy is a victim of the Illuminati or the Boule or whoever you want to call it. Diddy is a victim of, uh, like I said at the beginning, Father Time is undefeated, and his crimes or the allegations of crimes against Diddy are catching up to him. Um, there are there is belief that Diddy is very instrumental in the death of Tupac Shakur. And I've been saying that since the 90s. And I know I'm not the only person who believed it, but I have believed it for a very long time. And the man who was arrested, Keith D, I don't remember what his real name is, but his street name was Keith D. He asserted as such years back that Diddy put a bounty on Tupac Shakur and Suge Knight's head. Suge Knight might not be the greatest person. There is a distant relation between me and him. I ain't gonna talk too much about Suge Knight because we are, like I said, distantly related, and I don't want to seem like I'm just riding because this is somebody who I share blood with. Tupac um, created issues with Bad Boy Entertainment, and Diddy may have allegedly put out a hit, said, I will give $1 million to anybody who kills Tupac and Suge. And when half of the job got done, those people went to Diddy looking for their money, and Diddy kind of ghosted them. These are all allegations made by Keith D. And Keith D was reportedly, if he wasn't a trigger person, he was in the vehicle that was behind the murder of Tupac Shakur. So now let me pick up Justin. Did you see Kevin Hart and Kelly Clarkson's interview? There's something up with these cabals, in my opinion. What was it when Kelly Clarkson was trying to say that that people had offered her a lot of money to do some crazy stuff that she turned down, and Kevin Hart was visibly uncomfortable with what she was talking with her conversation. I think I did see that. Oh, Wig Ray says we'll be done when you get off. I hope not. I hope you got an opportunity. We ain't talking about nothing though. Which this is really just me running my mouth in pop culture and bouncing it off of uh Justin, and if Marge is still here, Marge. Diddy, I feel, has something to do with Tupac and with Biggie also. And well, even if he didn't order the hit on Biggie, it's still Biggie would be a uh, a casualty of Diddy's hubris when he put out the hit on Tupac and then didn't want to pay the people who did what he asked. Now it's basically you. Well, now everybody's going to lose. You're going to lose, and they lost. Tupac lost. We lost Tupac. We lost Biggie, and uh, Diddy still found a way to capitalize off the death of Biggie, but it would have been nothing like if Biggie would have went on to make 10 more albums under Bad Boy Entertainment. Yeah. Okay. So yes, Kevin Hart was trying to keep her quiet when she said, I had been offered some crazy amounts of money to do this, this, and this. And then Kevin Hart was like, basically, no, let's not even get in this conversation. Denzel Washington made the same type of allegation. It was not cloaked in this whole Illuminati thing, but years back, Denzel Washington said he was offered to be his first movie. He was offered $700,000, and I'm going to say what he said. He was off 700, he was offered $700,000 way back then to play the role of the nigga who wouldn't die. That was who he was going to be. And he was like, these people were going to be trying to hang him and trying to do this and do that. And oh, it's going to be so funny. He said that the people who were pitching this movie and this role to him and making this offer were talking about how funny it was going to be for him to get killed in all these different ways, but he just wouldn't die because, oh, it's so funny to hang niggas. Excuse my French, but that's what Denzel said. And Denzel turned that role down, and his career went an entirely different trajectory. And now Denzel Washington has been known as a person who says, I won't do these types of roles. He kept the power kind of to himself. I will not do this kind of role. I won't do that kind of role. And that is what Cat Williams says that he did. That is what Dave Chappelle says that he did. We don't see them in too many movies. We see Denzel in a lot of movies. His talent is undeniable. But when you're looking for a comic, and not me and not you possibly, but a lot of these comics, it's so funny when you dress like a woman. And look, there have been some hilarious movies where men have dressed like women. Hilarious. And we're talking going all the way back to the way back. Men dress like women in comedic roles all the time. If you are uncomfortable doing that, it shouldn't be a deal breaker for you to have a career in Hollywood. You know, and the ones that had a career in Hollywood and who did that, many of them, not all of them, many of them had mental health issues, serious ones, after that. And we can go from Robin Williams, we could go from Martin Lawrence. I don't really know if we've seen anything happen with Eddie Murphy because of his. I'm gonna pick up comments. Reinhardt said, hi, Reinhardt. First of all, hello, Tasha. Hope you're well. First, got to be straight up with you. I ain't buying none of this till I see the cops carry somebody out in handcuffs. Nope. Now, what are we talking about? What you ain't buying, Reinhardt? Are you not buying the alien stuff or are you not buying? Tell me, because I might be a little bit lost. Denzel has class and he is undeniably talented. So it's like his talent alone can carry him. And if you don't want to put him on screen, Denzel can also do stage. So this is like a compromise because I'm talented. You know, we've seen him do Othello. We've seen him in other types of roles, types that some people are so upset. And this latest one is Hannibal. He's going to be playing Hannibal, and people are like, oh, Hannibal is not supposed to be black. Denzel Washington should be able to play damn near anybody he wants. If he ain't playing JFK, he shouldn't be able to play JFK. He shouldn't be able to play Abraham Lincoln. He should be able to play pretty much anybody who is not historic, and we have an absolute picture of what that person looked like. Denzel Washington should be able to play whoever the hell he wants to play. David says, hey, David. Hey, y'all, stumbled on to you by complete accident. I stumbled on here by complete accident, so that makes two of us. Hope everyone is doing great. It's awesome to see me back at it. Well, thank you, sir. Thank you. Today, didn't have the children and been having some issues, so I had to be up and moving around a little bit today. So I was like, while I'm up, I might as well jump on and talk to my friends. Justice says, I did see that also, Tasha, about Denzel, and he always says he leaves those award parties before the devil shows up. And speaking of devil showing up to parties, that's another thing about Diddy that, you know, that has been said, that Diddy has some wild parties. And Cat Williams said, when Diddy asks you to party, you got to say no. And after hearing what ex-girlfriend Cassie says about the Diddy parties, I would not be comfortable. You know, the excitement of being like, oh, Oh, did he want me to go to his party? That might be cute until you get there and you see what's going on. And it's up to you to try to figure out a way to get the HE double hockey sticks up out of there, because I don't want to party with Diddy if that's the stuff that he does at his parties. Now, again, all of these are allegations. I don't know what happens at a Diddy party, but I don't want to find out either. The whole who killed Tupac Biggie thing. I mean, they've already got somebody arrested, though. They've got Keith D arrested. Keith D is in jail. Keith D made this allegation years ago. Again, it's an allegation. We don't know how true it is, but is it so far-fetched? A person who was reportedly involved implicates Diddy? You say you're completely lost. Can I be patient and drop a recap? I'm talking about all kinds of stuff today, David. We have just run the gamut. We talked about all of these movies that Paramount says are in development for Star Trek. So we talked about that at the top. So that's like 4 movies that they are talking about that we should be looking for. So we discussed that for a little bit. Then we talked about the Miami aliens. And I don't know how much you know about that situation in Miami. You can recap it if you would listen to the maybe second segment of this stream. We talked about that situation in Miami. Then we talked about the Epstein list and how many Aaron Rodgers and Pat McAfee and the controversy around that. It's basically everything wild that has occurred from January 1st until today, January 17th, we are trying to touch on. I'm trying to recap the entire first 17 days, and we are only 17 days in to January. And this is all the stuff that has happened. 17 days. Ryan R. Tasha, it's not at all that I don't think Diddy and all those people are shady, but Keith D is shady too. I agree with that. He if you're a murderer, you know, you got a lot of issues. You got some character issues if you could kill somebody just because somebody offered you some money. So if he really was offered, even though for some people they've done it for less because it would be life-changing for them. But if he was offered $1 million for Suge and Tupac's head, and he did it, your character is already tainted. So yes, it should be hard to believe anything that comes out of his mouth. But then I look at it like he might feel like because Diddy didn't pay up, I will not go down alone. He's going to go with me. And if that's what it is, then again, he a shady person. His morality is already compromised if he was to have done this, if he did what they said he did. But he might be saying, you're not getting off, Playboy, you're coming with me. And that's cold too. That's street too. I don't know where y'all from, but it's all bets is off if you do some like that. You said you were supposed to give these people some money and you didn't give it to them. They selling you up the river. Now, the other side of that would be why is Diddy still with us if he stiffed some killers? That's another question. But there are many different ways to look at it. And I can agree with what you said, that Keith D is shady as well. Reiner said, I'm not even saying I don't think it's possible that these people could have had something to do with it, but we've heard it for years and years. But I mean, we've heard so many stories. And the one that just keeps coming back to me, now I don't know, if there are other stories out there that I've just not been hearing. But the one that keeps coming back to me is implicating Diddy in this. It's like his hands is dirty. I don't know. Again, this is allegations. This is not me saying that. Please don't sue me. Angus says, we don't know the color of Hannibal Barker's skin. The bust that shows him looking Caucasian might have been made to appeal to Roman egos. And that's what I'm saying. If there's not a picture, I agree with you, Angus, 100%. If there is not a picture where we don't know who this person was, it's like Elizabeth Taylor playing Cleopatra. It's like, why can't, and she was a great actress, great actress. She played Cleopatra. There are so many people who are like, hey, Cleopatra had darker skin than that. She was Egyptian. She was this, she was that. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know. So she played her. So now we got him playing Hannibal. We got an issue. We got another issue. Oh, he was white. We don't know. And I still think if you want an actor to play this type of part, an actor on the stature of Denzel Washington is what you want. It's like Daniel Day-Lewis. You want the best actor possible to play these roles. And I, I got myself wrapped up into an argument, and it wasn't an argument because I wasn't arguing. There was an argument on Facebook where somebody had posted a picture of Michael B. Jordan saying that he was going to be Hercules in a Disney movie. And matter of fact, in the MCU. And I'm like, are y'all out of y'all minds? First and foremost, we've already seen Hercules in the MCU, but I won't even go there on people. I'm like, this is an AI picture and you can tell, but those people in the comments were so upset. They were letting their racism show. And I'm like, I don't know how real Hercules is. I think Hercules is fake, is imaginary, is made up, is a myth. Why does it matter? Why would it matter? It's just like we watch the gods of Egypt. And it's like the gods of Egypt, and Egypt is sitting smack dab in the middle of where? Africa. And how many of the gods of Egypt were black? Yep. You had some people in their feelings about it. The movie was crappy any damn way. But those people were cast. So I'm like, well, why are we doing this over some imaginary friends? They're our imaginary friends. Anyway, Reinhardt says, when it hits the news and they say blah 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 has been charged with the murder of Tupac Shakur, then I'll be like, okay, so they finally have something. Well, hopefully that day hopefully is coming. I hope, because it's been a long ass time. And it's not so much we need this closure because we've had closure, but his family deserves to know what happened to him. People who are truly related. Yeah, I was talking about the alleged alias at the mall, Dave. Yep. um, Justice says, Tasha, the Tupac and Biggie murders are a deep dive for me. You watch Tupac in his videos and interviews, even Biggie's. They were trying to tell us something. Ready to Die, the Machiavelli CD. We could do a deep dive into the conspiracy theories, because that's what they are, right? The theories behind these messages that we seem to be getting from the music of Biggie and Tupac. It is very coincidental and very, very yeah, I guess I can't say, it's ironic that some of the stuff that they came out with preceded their deaths, and some of the stuff came after, and it's like we were left with puzzles that they wanted us to solve, like they knew what was coming. And yeah, It's wild. Just to say, yeah, we're talking aliens and everything today. Today is just one of them days where I'm just like, let's just talk. I didn't plan this. We just sitting here, we're riffing. Did he smoking crack with aliens at the mall? Now allegedly, because I ain't say that. Now I'm not gonna say that. Diddy does a whole lot of stuff, but I don't think he's smoking no crack with the aliens at the mall. I don't think so. It astounds me how all these people got up in arms over a light-skinned woman being Cleopatra, but all the white ladies who played Cleopatra over the years, and those people never find it culturally offensive until it was a black woman. Same with Denzel playing Hannibal. And that's what I mean. We are in the age of selective outrage. We know that. We've seen it in the stuff that we love pop culturally, as far as Star Trek, Star Wars, the selective outrage of the MCU. Um, those are small things, movies. These are small things. We're also seeing the selective outrage for things that mean a whole lot more globally, that actually impacts every human in some way, shape, or form. And I think it's time that we stop this mess. It's time for this being mad about just being mad, just being mad because you want to be mad. It's starting to get old to me. And I know I'm not alone, but it's really an old thing. But yeah, this is another victim of the selective outrage of people. Ridley Scott needs to be stopped. We just need to just cut him, just stop it. Stop making great movies and casting fantastic actors. Ridley. Denzel can play anybody he wants. He is a legend. Absolutely. I agree. Except unless it's historically not right. Like for real. Like you can't play JFK. You cannot play if we get a Donald Trump movie, you can't play Donald Trump. But you can play any of these people who we are kind of ambiguous about what they look like. All I need is a good representation of the character, the way that it was imagined. Yeah. What else has been going on? We talked about the Epstein Liz Cat Williams with his Illuminati stuff. Outrage is expressed by those who feel powerless. And I can agree with that. But now we're starting to see people uh, try to, I guess, they're trying to exude power in places where they don't deserve it. They don't. For instance, um, the outrage over the movie The Marvels. This is so small and so inconsequential, right? The outrage over the movie The Marvels, where so many people said, hey, this is a fun movie. Other people, downed the movie. And of course, this is subjective. You don't have to like the movie. But was the problem with the movie that it focused heavily on women or that it was a bad movie? Those are the things that I'm talking about as far as selective outrage. Now, if you have a reason to be upset, for instance, and this is me again dipping my toe back into the true crime side of things. Okay, there is a woman, and I forgot her name, in Ohio, black woman, but I don't even know that matters, that she's black. The woman was pregnant. This is a woman who wanted her baby. She was 22 weeks pregnant. She goes to see her doctor. The doctor tells her this pregnancy is not viable. The likelihood is you're going to have a miscarriage. There's nothing that we can do. Meaning that at one time, when you have a pregnancy that's not viable, and you might have to go through this uncomfortable miscarriage at home. Once upon a time, those same doctors could have said, we could terminate the pregnancy. And if she agreed, they could have done it and done it on her terms, right? Instead, this young woman, 33 years old, goes home, has a miscarriage days later while she was using the bathroom. So she was on the toilet. When she wiped and saw the blood, it of course it shocks you. Now you know for sure that this baby that you so wanted is gone. What she didn't know is that it evacuated into, or parts of it had evacuated into the toilet, and she had already tried to flush it. So she starts plunging to get the tissue back out of the toilet so that she could take it to the hospital, show them what had happened, which she did. She takes what was left of this baby that she wanted, that her body rejected for whatever reason, back to the hospital. And do you know what the hell happened to her there? The nurse called the police, and this woman was charged with abuse of a corpse, had to sit in front of the grand jury in Ohio to know whether or not that whether she was going to be charged with this felony because she had a miscarriage. Now, I was pissed about this. And I'm not trying to say, hey, everybody should have the ability to kill a baby if you want to. That's not where I'm going. When you tie the doctor's hands with what they can do for the better of their patient, then you have created a vast injustice to the human element. Because what woman, after having a miscarriage, now wants to face a charge for what happens to the corpse of the baby? Who wants that? So would that be selective outrage? No, because I'm a woman, even though I'm an old woman, and I can't, improbable or impossible for me to have children. I do have nieces. I've got cousins. I've got sister. I got friends. I don't want to see them go through this. So this wouldn't be selective outrage. This is outrage because, yes, we feel powerless now. Selective outrage are the people who called the police. It was like, I can't believe she did this to the baby. The baby was gone. We already knew that the baby was going to be gone. Selective outrage was the woman or man who called the police on this mother for having a miscarriage. So that's like the difference to me, as far as these are you're powerless in a situation. And I hope I made sense, because that's been on my mind and it's really been pissing me off. And I'm glad I just was able to talk it out. Oh, can we cast Idris as a Norse god? I mean, I don't think that could happen, because Norse is just like it's just like I was just saying about the gods of Egypt. Some of the a couple of them should have been more black than I mean, that's just me. And even though I've got light complexion of people that I know from Egypt, but still, I think once you start saying Norse, you associate that with a type of people, and that type of people would likely have gods that look like them. David says Hercules was a false son of a false god. Cleopatra was probably more Greek than North African. Portrayed fictional characters should be flexible to cater to our entertainment and imagination. Yeah, I agree. Anger is some people's coffee. They need it to get up in the morning. Lord have mercy. Get up like, oh, where's my cup of anger? I want it straight. I don't want I don't want no cream, no sugar, just straight anger in the morning. This case really bothered me too, Marge. It really did. Uh, Justice said he could be JFK. That's just my opinion. But I understand why people wouldn't like that. But if it's a play on Broadway, but I understand people's stance on it. I get what you're saying, like the whole Hamilton thing. Yeah. Thank you, Marge. Thank you. I'm glad I made I hope I was coherent because when I start getting passionate, I start railing. Reinhardt said, "That's just sick. I hadn't heard about that. I told you, Tasha, a lot of these people don't want to represent any state legislation. They want to rule." And that I agree with. And we're seeing it more and more. We're seeing it more and more because I feel like we're starting to allow ourselves to lose our individual voices. We start to roll with the mob mentality. You're either this or that, and there are shades of gray everywhere. And um, our legislation, while it needs to be direct and clear, it also needs to address our shades of gray. We can't just appease one side or the other. There has to be some compromise. And while we are moving in this country at absolute least, like a little street gang, like red or blue, uh, we need to try to find that middle ground. And people aren't trying to find it the way they used to try to find it. It used to be, we will make concessions with one another. I'll give this up to get this if it'll help more people. Now, for instance, they were offering in federal money to help poor children who, when their school is out during the summer, to feed them during the summertime for those parents who are at work or are underprivileged. These children, we know that they are going to get 2 meals a day. And many states, and I won't say which side or the other, are saying, nope, we don't want your money. Keep your federal money. We don't need those programs. And I'm like, to hurt one party politically or to feel like you're striking a blow against one side or the other, you will bargain with children. I just don't get it. That to me is a win-win. You got little kids whose parents are literally, I can't say that for all of them, but for many of them, parents are literally trying to make ends meet. Parents on both sides of the political aisle are literally trying to make ends meet in what is a contentious economy. And you're telling me that you're going to turn your nose up at some money because of which party supported it? It's terrible to me. And I know we've gotten far further into politics than I typically do, but like I said, this was just an open conversation. We're just talking about anything. Finally off the phone. Hello again for real. Hey there, Win Grace. Glad you made it back. Thank you, David. You'd cast Idris for any character. Idris can be Idris is a strong actor. Is he as strong as Denzel? Nope, but he's real easy to look at. And I like that about him. But yeah, he's a good actor too. I loved him in Luther. Oh, some of the BBC programming was just so fantastic, and that was one of the things that I liked. I liked him in in Luther. I like him in a lot of things. Don't get it twisted. Reinhardt said, David's right. And the thing that gets me is just like the thing with Taylor Swift, where all these people are hating Taylor Swift because they were told to. Right. Now, to this week is Taylor Swift. Next week is going to be somebody else. You know, what did Taylor Swift really do to any of you individually, and not you in this chat? Because I know we're above that. But the people who have all of these issues with that woman, it's like, why? She's a young woman with a platform. And if she didn't use her platform to speak about what she believes in, then you'd be complaining about that. I don't know. Justice said he agrees that Idris is a great actor. Wayne Grace has been putting polls up on his YouTube channel, and I got wind of it by my Discord that I only seem to see these updates late on Discord because I sleep so much. I'm sorry, I'm being honest. These kids, like I said, my son and daughter-in-law, suppose I could call her that. They go to work at 3 in the morning. So I have the babies from 3 in the morning until 1 in the afternoon. And at 1 in the afternoon, I go to sleep. And then I'm up all night long, pretty much. So 1 in the afternoon, I'll go to sleep. I might wake back up at 7, 8 o'clock. Yeah, I sleep like my shift is from 3 to 1, which it is. And so I'm missing most of the day. I miss most of the day. So I see you guys posted, but by the time I see it, I'm like, I saw this so late. It'd be crazy for me to answer. I missed the Trek Talks on I think it was on YouTube the other day. I missed it. It was a live stream telethon. I missed that because I was asleep. So yeah. So if I don't get back to you on Discord or anywhere else for that matter, it's because I'm asleep. But anywho, when Grace is posting polls, has been on his page here recently. I went back and voted late because again, I'm not seeing this stuff until until too late. But but yeah, so if you are not following Win Grace on YouTube, then follow his channel as well. David says you can't lead by example if the negative people ridicule your examples. You know, it's almost like you don't have to we don't have to agree. I agree with what you're saying, David. But that's the problem. We all expect to we all expect to think alike now. And it's not like I can say not us, but the groups, you can't have an independent thought. If you do, there's some issue with it. And once upon a time, we would agree to disagree. And I had friends across the political spectrum, to include friends who did not involve themselves politically at all. That's their prerogative. Is it a costly prerogative nowadays? Yes, it's a costly prerogative. But again, their prerogative. I can't make somebody think like me. I can debate, and you can hear my opinions, and I can hear yours. And guess what? Most of the time, not all of the time, most of the time, we still gonna walk away with with our own opinions. But at least you can see or hear the perspective of someone else, and that's it. The perspectives are. I don't want to hear the political talking points. I want to hear what you think. And people are almost incapable of doing that now. Oh, Marge says she knows Idris as Stringer Bell. She's a wire, the wire. Okay. Reinhardt says, throwing this out there, Tosh, you gave me the idea. When we do our next discussing Trek, it's going to be about the direction Star Trek should go in. Do we need another show with characters we already know, or who are related to characters, or just something absolutely fresh? if you are asking me, I think we need fresh ideas. I would not mind the legacy show if we have Jerry Ryan as Captain Seven, and then we have a crew around her of people, and we learn about that crew. We get to know these new people. The same thing with Starfleet Academy. I wouldn't mind if Tilly showed up there, and if we had infrequent guest appearances from other characters that we are already familiar with. But if this show is going, or if the franchise is trying to move into the future, we need to move into the future. We need some characters and some personalities that we don't know already. And I don't know how many people will agree with that. And you don't have to, but that if you're asking me personally, I think we need a fresh start with infrequent cameos, just like we did with the next generation, and like we did with DS9. We saw the cameos of other characters, but the show itself was about this group of characters that we needed to get to know. When Grace says, I get more engagement on my polls than videos, especially since there's new, I can't say no new for some reason. There's no new stuff to review. Yeah, we got that lull behind behind the strikes. We've hit this kind of but what I have been enjoying like Percy Jackson and the Olympians. I've caught up with that, and have enjoyed it. I'm trying to think, what else have I been enjoying? Despite how others felt, I liked Echo. There are I guess elements that I would have changed with Echo, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Echo. I'm trying to think, is there anything else that I have been into? I mean, really, like you say, it hasn't been that much new to get into, but those two I have enjoyed. I enjoyed What If, really enjoyed What If, and really enjoyed that they introduced us to a new original character, much like Reinhardt was just talking about. We need some original characters, and Cohorty in What If was a breath of fresh air. I enjoyed her, and I really hope to see that character transfer over into live action. Represent the Wire. David says, I'm gonna have to watch the upload to catch your Star Trek chat. Yeah, it was brief, but we did touch a little. We've only been on for an hour and 20 minutes. Wingray says it was 8.5 hours of the Trek Talks thing. Some good stuff, but no real revelations about new projects, just good inside stuff. And thank you for the shout out. Thank you for continuing the conversation around Star Trek and other wonderful sci-fi and fantasy type content. Marge says, what upsets me is the cruelty of denying children breakfast and transporting Mexican immigrants to northern states and the like. These are all political stunts, though. I agree. And using real humans in political stunts is disgusting. And I don't, as far as what's going on at our borders, look, I don't know the answer. I don't know the answers. But I also haven't run for public office and have proclaimed to have a plan for all of these things. But moving them around like a game of checkers is really not the answer. We're going to move them on that side of the Mason-Dixon line. We shouldn't do that with human beings. And yet we're seeing it happen. So hopefully we get it together as far as the United States citizens. We get it together, because we look real bad right now. We look stupid and we look petty right now. Now, David says he wants to see both, as far as the question that Reinhardt posed. Wingrace says, I think we need a show to take things into the future with new things. Then all of these side events and prequels would feel like good fill in the gaps. Yeah. We need some kind of we need to make something new, even though we still are, we can hang on to some of the old elements. We need something that's going to keep or to attract a younger fan base. And I know I continuously say it, but the only way this thing stays alive is if the fan base gets younger. As much as, I like to believe I'm gonna be here forever and ever. I know I'm not. Father Time is undefeated, as we said at the top. Marge says, I'd love to see Captain Seven and an interesting, perhaps ragtag crew. And even if you make it okay, she gets maybe I won't call it ragtag, but she gets some people with issues, because once upon a time she had some issues and she would relate to some of these younger cadets who are trying to find their place to Starfleet, anything like that, to play up Seven's growth, because we've seen her go from unwillingly being part of the Voyager crew to embracing them as family, and then getting to be the first officer on and y'all know I can't think of the name of the ship, but y'all know what I'm talking about. So getting to be the first officer on that ship, and now being the captain of her own vessel, there are things that she could teach a crew of people who are still trying to find their footing in Starfleet. And a young enough crew with strong enough writing that they could carry it on for some years to come. Yeah, what Tasha's saying. I don't know what I said. When Grace is on YouTube, David. Don't let Grace Randolph hear me say that. She really asked if Marvel needed 2 Native American characters. She really asked, are you serious, When Grace? She really asked if Marvel needed 2 Native American characters. 2 Native American characters, that's one too many. Oh God. The next thing you know, they'll be letting more black characters and Hispanic. I mean, what difference does it make? But the Native American underrepresentation was glaring. I like these, and they are 2 different characters, totally different skill sets. Why would we not need that? It's just like saying, do we need Iron Man and Iron Patriot or War Machine? That's stupid. That is incredibly stupid. But I'm glad I didn't hear her say that. Reinhardt said, I agree. And this is not it's not that I don't love the shows that we have, but I want to see him do something like next, which is fresh in the same universe. That's it. I agree. Give us something fresh. Give us a little, sprinkle a little bit of some of the old in there, but we need a new crew to get behind. And look, I like what they are doing with Lower Decks now. I loved what they were doing with Prodigy. See how attached, I don't know about everybody else, but I've become attached to what's the Lower Decks crew. I was attached to the Prodigy crew from the moment that I met them, and we could do that in live action. We just gotta, our fan base, we thrive on nostalgia, but we know that these people are not going to be around forever, so we have to be thinking about the future. And that's what a lot of people are not ready to do. We're not ready to let go. Reinhardt said he wants to watch Percy Jackson. I am enjoying it. And I know I'm a little bit older than the demographic, but I am enjoying Percy Jackson. I really like the kid, and I really wish I can remember. I think his name is Walker Schofield. Let me look his name up. Um, he is really Walker Scobell. Yeah. And then Leah Jeffries is playing Annabeth. And let's see, Arian Simhadri is playing Grover. Those characters are they are holding this show, and I'm enjoying it. I'm truly enjoying it. I just watched the latest episode. We wait a minute. Yeah, we take a zebra to Vegas. I watched that episode, and I don't know how many episodes it's going to be. Let me see. Let's see. 8 episodes, and we are on today's drop was episode 6. So we only got a couple more weeks before you'll have the whole series. You can watch it on Hulu or Disney Plus. So options if you have those streamers. Justice says, I want the Picard movie and Legacy and a show about the Klingon houses, kind of like a Game of Thrones. They could do that, especially since that is what is, the kind of the end thing. You got Game of Thrones, you have the Game of Thrones spinoff, which I can't remember what that is. You have a lot of shows that are kind of falling into that kind of genre. Yeah, they should be on that right now while it's the in thing. They should be on it now. Maybe Seven would recruit ex-Borgs. Be some Thank you, Marge. I was reaching for that, and it never came out. But maybe Seven would would recruit ex-Borgs. XBs equals saved Borg. Yeah. How might Raffi fit into Seven show? I mean, we've already gotten a peek at some of her demons and some of the things that she is struggling with personally. She could still be the first officer or however they had lined it up in Picard, but we could also see the more human side because again, she's got issues. And if you have a captain and you have a first officer who have had struggles, they would be able to help a young crew kind of avoid the pitfalls that they had fallen into themselves. And we can see the resolution to some of Raffi's behind the scenes baggage, and the same with Seven. She went a very long time with Starfleet kind of ostracizing her because of what she used to be. And now we can see her coming to terms with who she really is, and people no longer seeing her as a former Borg, but seeing her for who she is right now. Uh, it's something that we need in today because so many people are so ready when a person makes a mistake or finds themselves on the wrong side of public opinion, we throw that person away. This could be a story of redemption. These are two people who need redeeming, if not to Starfleet and to others, to themselves, and it could be a picture of how we need to be. If a person has shown genuine remorse for a wrongdoing, as long as it's not one of the big, I killed 10 people, I'm sorry, something like that. No, that won't work. But if you have people who are genuinely sorry for some misstep, and society is like still acting as if they got this scarlet letter on them, it's time at some point to say, you know what? I'm going to take you at your word. You're sorry. And you just continue to live your life like a person who is, you know, and that's 7 of 9. She can't help the things that she was. She doesn't understand. She can't help that of her what her thinking was when she got to Voyager. But her moves since then have been closer and closer to redemption, to humanity. Forgive her and let's move on. And then maybe she can truly forgive herself for some of the things that happened. Yeah, I think that would be one of the ways they could incorporate those two characters and their struggles into a new story. Two two Native Americans. How dare they? Yes. And you said they coming for my representation. You're gonna have to snatch my representation out of my cold dead hands. David said, "Hey, you gotta have two natives so they can bounce off each other." So David is native as well, but they two different tribes. It's like, really, it's not the same. It's not like you got two Native American people representing the exact same thing. They're not monolithic. There's a spectrum of different kinds. We need a little bit of more diversity, if you ask me. I'm glad we're seeing as much as we are, but we need a little bit more diversity. We can use a little more diversity in the MCU and everywhere, if you ask me. Wingray said, "I've never read Percy Jackson. My only knowledge comes from the first movie. Should I watch it without reading?" Yeah, yeah, because I've only watched the first movie. I haven't read it, and I'm getting a lot of enjoyment out of this. Actually, a lot of enjoyment out of it. David said, "You guys realize that everything I know about Star Trek from Discovery forward, I got from all of you, and I greatly appreciate it. I am so glad that you are still hanging out with us, even though we just come in here and just spoil everything. But I'm also glad that we are here for people who want to be able to watch this stuff and can't. Hopefully, we're painting a good picture of the things that have gone on in Star Trek since you were able to last watch." Reinhardt said, "Personally, I would like to have a show anywhere from 100 years after Picard. Brand new crew. The starship doesn't have to be the Enterprise, but it'll be fine if it is. 100 years after Picard. So you want it to start 100 years later, or you want it to be in that 100 years after Picard? Make me understand. But I agree that is a unexplored section of Trek lore that they could get into, and it would have to, of course, at some point meet up to Discovery. But a Discovery, you got so many years that you can play and have things happen in before you have to meet up to that timeline. That would be a great playground. All of that, anything after Picard, perfect playground for new Trek. Who is Percy Jackson? Please don't stone me. Percy Jackson is like okay, so the name of the show is Percy Jackson and the Olympians. And it is called that because Percy Jackson is a teenage boy who finds out that he is a demigod, that he is related to a Greek god, and then he is given a quest to avoid a war of the Olympians. So, and that's me giving you a little short synopsis without spoiling everything. I mean, most people know if you've seen the movie, you kind of know who his daddy is and all this. But if you haven't seen it and you want to get into the series and you want to kind of be surprised, I'm gonna zip my lips. But that is the premise of the show. Um, Reiner said it, and they're just a new crew of people. That's all. We don't always have to connect something to the past. I love my Strange New Worlds. Don't get it twisted. Yeah, but again, we run into. I agree with what you're saying, because with Strange New Worlds, you're going to run into um the original series. And while I think there are still stories that can be told in tandem, you start to, you're starting to run into too much quote unquote canon. But if you start after Picard, the you don't run the same risk, because you can go almost 1,000 years and without running into canon. There we go. David Lancaster, Marge says Percy Jackson is the main character of a series of fantasy novels and TV series, and that makes it clear as well. Reinhardt said, Tasha, I would love you to do this on your show. One thing, or we may do it. The most disturbing thing that any main characters from Star Trek shows did. They are surprisingly more than you think. I can think of several right now, but there has been some disturbing things. Not just uh sexism, but even some of just the moral issues, these gray areas. There is a review of an episode that has been sitting in my computer, not completed with the editing. It's been sitting here since October, because that's when I had my issue, and it's not through editing. But in that particular episode, I pointed out some things that's like, see, this is questionable to me, and I want to get it done. But of course, like I said, I don't. My time is crazy with these babies. I got two of them over here now. They're two babies driving me nuts. Oh, Justin is also part native, and he says I'm right. Yeah, there are so many different. It's like it's not just one flavor where you could just say Native American and it talks about every tribe of indigenous person there is. There are a million. Okay, a million might be overstating it, but there are many different tribes, and their beliefs, their languages, everything is different. We can't just pigeonhole people. Um, Ooh, a pitch Teen Mutant Show set at Xavier's school. I wouldn't mind that. When they start truly incorporating the X-Men into the MCU, that wouldn't be something I would be averse to seeing. And it's also a way they can introduce us to new characters, because we know many of the mutants that we want to see, the staff of the academy, Xavier Academy, and the students that we know we want to see. But this is an opportunity, much like I was saying about Cohorty in What If, to bring in some stuff that nobody can say, oh, this is supposed to be like this from the comics. Nope. Clean slate. Now bring these people in and let's do some things with them. I don't mind it. And I like that we saw some different things going on with Echo. Um, I like what remained the same about the characters, some of the characters that we've seen. What is his name? Kingpin in Echo. I like what remains the same, but I also like some of the changes and differences they've made. This is an opportunity to expand the universes. Everybody's universe needs to expand just a little, just a little, so that you don't get the pigeonholes where people say, "Well, this person is supposed to do this." You don't know what that person is supposed to do because they're new. You don't know what effect they'll have on the rest of the team because they're a new character. You know, Justice says he is part Blackfoot and he's met many different people. Um, I was completely ignorant to how many different tribes there were, like even in the area where I lived, where I was raised. So I was raised in Northwest Indiana, but I used to work on at a casino in Michigan. And the tribe that I worked for, because it was a tribal casino, the tribe that I worked for was the Pokagans, Potawatomis. So we got I had never heard, and it was interesting and eye opening to learn some of the history behind the Pokagans and the Potawatomi people. And I know that there are so many more, but those are the ones that I'm most familiar with. Reinhardt said 100 years after the last season of Picard, so that we're not tripping over our own feet. And it's far ahead of what we know. Uh, so it doesn't bump into Discovery. We've got yet to discover all of this time between Picard and Discovery. And it has to be new people because we're talking 100 years after the last season of Picard. I like it. I like it. David says, see, I didn't know Discovery was in the future after Picard, thought it was contemporary with Picard, always learning from us. So Discovery started, well, it started in the period before Star Trek Strange New Worlds. So before Star Trek TOS. And then they got propelled into the future after after an event involving Section 31's a rogue AI called Control. So Control went rogue, and in order for them to defeat Control, they had to go 1,000 years, pretty much, almost into the future. So that's how they ended up beyond Star Trek Picard. And I enjoy, or I like the fact that they went far in the future. I wish that it wasn't as far when they first did it, but just like Reinhardt is saying, now we got a long period of time to play with if you want to make new series in between the events of Picard and the beginning of the events of our 32nd century Discovery crew. So I feel a little bit better about how far because we can fit a lot of story in between what happened with Discovery. Marge is asking if Justin is from the Montana, Alberta area. Marge says Discovery is all over the place and time, literally. Yes. And Wingrace is uh echoing what I said, or I'm echoing what he said, because I'm pretty sure he typed this before I started talking. Discovery started before the original series jumped hundreds of years into the future after season 2. Are we talking Tuvix? What about Tuvix? Oh Lord. I mean, I guess that is one of the things that was disturbing, if that's what you were talking about. Justice says his father's side is from the Montana area of the Confederacy. Okay. And Reinhardt says, my opinion, Odo did one of the most despicable things, or should I say, future Odo. Mm, I got to think now. Which one? Which what was it? Remind me. I'm agreeing with Marge here. And Marge, Justin is asking, are you part native or full? Wingray says Pelia and Guinan can still be hanging out in 100 years. Yep, those actresses won't be though. uh, David says he's a tiny bit youth, and Justin says that's cool. I don't know if excuse me. As you can see, it's starting to get to be bedtime. I don't know if if Reinhardt was going to give us more info on what he was talking about with Odo, future Odo. I can't remember what he might be talking about. But yeah. Marge says Apelia and Guinan show would be fun. They need to give Pelia more to do in Strange New Worlds. If you don't have it there, don't just have it there to be a pretty face. Yeah. David is waiting. He's waiting patiently, Reinhardt. Reinhardt might be typing. Oh, is this one Wind Grace? Wind Grace, I'm glad you might have figured this out. Future Odo, when he erased that planet for love of Kira. So the the time where there was a planet of the descendants of the what is it, the Defiant crew. They got lost out there and stuck out there, and then Odo, because he loved Kira and he wanted her to be able to get back and survive, he he erased the planet. It's like he genocided them. There are a lot of interesting shows they could do. Let's just hope they realize it and stop going back to, we know what worked before. Let's move. Let's do some original things, and yeah, we can still revisit some of the characters and all that, but let's do some original things. I'm ready to see some new ish. Oh gosh, I'm so tired. Excuse me. Yep, it might be over for me, guys. I didn't think we would be here 2 hours. This has been, yeah. So that is the one that Reinhardt was talking about. That was the one that Reinhardt was talking about. Thank you, both of you, Wingrace and Reinhardt, for clarifying. And I'm gonna try not to be so long. We got to get on some kind of schedule here for me to figure out when I'm going to be able to do this regularly, because it's kind of rough. It's kind of rough trying to uh, navigate with the two children, and I'm pretty sure you want to see how my babies have progressed. Ashton is what? He's almost a year and a half now. And about 2 months ago, he decided, okay, I'm a walk. So he's been walking for, like I said, he didn't want to walk for so long. And now, he's walking and moving around, and I'm happy for that. Amira, my granddaughter, is going on 4 months. Going on 4 months. Wow. She's going on 4 months, and all she does is babble and smile. She's the happiest, sweetest baby, and she eats like two babies her size. But I'm gonna put them on the camera with me, maybe the next time that I'm on here, because I'm proud of my babies. So I want you guys to see our little executive producers. I'm gonna read these last few comments, and then I'm gonna get on up out of here, y'all. So Reinhardt said future Odo was so bad he knew all these people who had the descendants of the Defiant crew, and he still made the decision to save Kira and wipe them out of existence. Yes, he did. It was a very questionable and selfish decision. He might have thought that he was being selfless, but yeah. Thank you, March, for being here. I'm so happy that you guys caught up to me. David, I enjoyed hanging out with you. Thank you for being here. And thank you, Justin, Wingrace, Reinhardt, and anybody else who was watching and just didn't comment. I appreciate you being here. I will see you guys next time. What do I don't know if I want to say peace or do I want to say live long and prosper and prosper. Peace. It's been a long time since I said it, y'all. Bye.